Hey guys, welcome back to Spooky Tuesday, a weekly podcast where we're breaking down all of our favorite slashers, thrillers, monster movies, and black comedies on the new scariest day of the week. I'm Cindy Thompson.
I'm Monica Height.
And I'm Chelsea Duff, but I'm also somebody else right now because
Kurt
we're
Cobain.
Kurt Cobain, and also I am embodying three people in once because one of them is also somebody from the movie we're doing this week, in addition to Kurt Cobain, because I am, as you can clearly see, Kurt Cobain. But this was our quarterly voting movie. We have a WWVVSDE week come up on our schedule. I know you guys missed us, so we wanted to come back with a bang. We said, obviously, we have to continue the Werewolves vs. Vampires seasonal depression event because we're still seasonally depressed, and so we need to see monsters. Kissing, fighting, who knows? So we decided to give our patrons a couple different choices to lock in on, and they said, hey, remember when you guys did Van Helsing next month? What if we did another movie that was just like that, but a little bit different? But a lot like that,
Right?
but also very different.
But like just like that,
But like
know?
also just
But
like
it's
that.
very different. And I will, in this essay, I will argue.
But yeah, we left it up to our patrons to vote, and they got their votes in, and we said, okay, it looks like we're doing 2003 Underworld, also starring Van Helsing's Kate Beckinsale. But actually, she was Underworld's Kate Beckinsale before she was Van Helsing's Kate Beckinsale.
Yeah,
So
that's how she got the
technically,
gig.
yeah, this one got to her first. And as I read IMDb trivia, it really changed up her career because she'd been
Yeah.
previously doing period piece girly movies, and then she became action star. So this is a big drop in the cinephile sphere. I'm saying words.
I'm liking
But
the words you're saying.
oh my God, stop. Is that because of the way I'm dressed?
Yeah, because they just feel like drawn to you in this
Yeah.
inexplicable way. And there's
Oh my
not, we don't even
God.
need to talk, and we actually won't, but we will fall madly, deeply in love over the next
Yeah.
2 hours.
That
Just
sounds really
feeling
perfect
that
for
in the
me. Yeah,
air.
that's
Yeah.
that's also the vibe that I'm getting.
Yeah.
If you're not watching us on YouTube right now, first of all, miss you.
Mistake.
Second of all, Monica also dressed up.
I
Monica, would
am
you like to?
Celine with the
Wow.
lisp. I'm wearing my teeth,
She's got the
so it's
list.
gonna sound like this the whole time.
So you guys are gonna love it. I think you're already loving it. But that's just a little taste of Underworld. If you don't know what it's about though, let me tell you, girl. Per the IMDb trivia log line, it reads Celine, a vampire warrior, is entrenched in a conflict between vampires and werewolves while falling in love with Michael, a human who is sought by werewolves for unknown reasons. Not a very engaging logline.
I'm engaged. Think it's just you have to decide. I decided that I was gonna love this movie, and I fucking went hard in this. I went crazy. And I want to start off by saying that this is the evanescence of vampire werewolf movies.
Did you read IMDb trivia at all?
No, I didn't.
Amy Lee was going to be very involved in the soundtrack for this movie,
But that
but then
makes
there were
fucking
some
sense.
like rights issues, so I don't think it
No!
ended up working out, was my understanding.
That is
But
a
she was, you
very
look at that poster, you're like, that's Amy Lee.
That's Amy Lee. Also reminds me of a dear close friend of mine from high school. Jenny looks exactly like Kate Beckinsale. Need to text her and tell her. High compliment for Kate Beckinsale, honestly. But I think that's another reason why I felt so close to her. Throughout the
Wow.
film, I was like, my close personal
That's my
friend, Kate
friend.
Beckinsale,
Beckinsale.
Celine. But oh my gosh, the first time I watched this, I turned it off. That was years ago, and I watched for like 10 minutes or whatever. And I don't know why it didn't grab me because that opening subway scene is fucking crazy. But I think I was ready for it this time because since our episode on New Moon with Sarah Elizabeth Gallagher, she brought to my attention the book series. What is it, Sydney?
Crave.
Yeah.
Yeah, Crave. And since then, I have read Crave and I'm halfway through Crush, which is the second one. And they're absolute garbage, trash, supernatural, all the supernatural things. Romance books, really bad, like really bad.
Like really
and,
bad.
like
genuinely
really
bad.
bad.
Yeah, but like you're
yeah.
gonna have a good time, but it's like really bad. I've
She
read
says
all
The
of
writing
them.
that's bad or the story that's
The
what's-
writing
Both.
is really bad. The story
Okay.
maybe could be good if somebody else had it, but it's still pretty fucking bad. And
It's bad.
here's the
loved
words
it.
that I hear. Not gonna lie, he's sexy AF. Words that are on the page. Not gonna lie. She says not gonna lie all the time. She says sexy AF, hot AF all the time. So I've been reading trash constantly in my ears every second. And then I turned on Underworld and it was slightly more compelling. And I was like, this is the most incredible romance in a decade, in 2 decades. I was so compelled by this. They give you nothing. There's no. Why did they kiss? There's nothing. I was like,
They feel drawn to each other, just like you and I.
They have
know.
no
It's
chemistry
inexplicable.
either.
Shut up. No. It's
No.
Romeo and Juliet, but with
It
werewolves
is
and
Romeo
vampires.
and Juliet. How dare
Yeah.
you say
Yeah,
that?
but there's no. Here's the
I
thing.
loved it. I just loved it. I don't know. I loved it.
Michael and Victor have more chemistry than Selena and Michael.
Victor can't help it that he's very sexually compelling with everybody, okay?
Oh my god. That was another thing. I was like, I know Bill Nighy or Nighy. How do you say his name?
Yeah. Nighy, I think.
Nighy? Yeah.
Nighy.
Nighy. Bill from fucking Love Actually. That's my touch point for him. I was like, I know he's had an entire other career, but it wasn't until seeing Love Actually the 45th time that I've started seeing any other movie with him in it. And it's just so funny to me. But I am obsessed with him. The OG?
The first
Omen.
First
Omen. Yeah. That
So
was
the
the
new
other
one.
time I felt this way this year. Yeah. When I watched that, I was like, oh my God, he's had a life outside of Love Actually. That makes
That's
sense.
so funny because what's his name? Not Len Diamond, but Len something.
Weissman?
Len Wiseman, yes. When he was casting for that role and he found Bill Nighy, he was like, oh my God, this guy is amazing. And I've discovered him and he's a new unknown talent. This is crazy. And then he started being like, have you guys heard about this guy, Bill Nighy? And everybody was like, yeah, we've heard about him. He's been around. And he was like,
Yeah.
oh. Well, I
got
discovered him for myself now. I didn't discover him for the world, as it turns out, but I've discovered him for myself, and it was meaningful to me.
I got big news, guys. 2003 was a huge year for Bill Nighy because that's also the year that Love Actually came out. So he had this movie and Love Actually showing his full range. Actually, he's kind of a fucker in both. So,
Okay, but
he becomes
also,
a lovable fucker in Love Actually. Go, Sydney. Sorry.
So Martin Sheen is in this, right?
Yes,
Can
that's
we
so true.
talk about how Kate Beckinsale and Martin Sheen were like together during this movie? They have a daughter. And then she's now married to Lynn Weissman, the director of this movie that they met on the set of this movie.
But she and Michael are still best friends and co-parents together. They have a good relationship raising their daughter.
Lynn and Michael are like really good friends too. And like apparently he gave they're like when he got married to Kate, he gave Lily also like a ring for her to wear also. And I was like, that's like really sweet.
That's very sweet. Well, it makes a lot of sense for me for Kate Beckinsale to be married to Michael Sheen, though I never would have said that before now. But that's because I'm now wildly sexually attracted to Michael Sheen because something about him evolution like really I didn't even know what it was.
I think it's just
oh my God.
the name Lucian. Like every character with this name, I'm like hot. So I think it might just be
Lucian,
like
Lucius.
It is kind of a sexy name, but it's also, I think, the long hair plus the facial hair. I think that's
Yeah.
really
And that wild,
because he has
wily
long
look in his
hair
eye.
in Twilight, in the Twilight saga, but I wouldn't say that Aro is
Not
it Aro
hot
Arrow?
as
Not
Aro
yeah, not
or Arrow.
hot.
Not hot. Not hot.
But
speak for
hot
yourself.
here.
He's got
You
crazy
know what?
eyes.
That's true. Some people
He's
have
got
their own thing
crazy
going
eyes
on.
with Aro, and you know he's probably a freaking mish.
He also is
In
fucking
Mish?
hilarious.
Yeah.
And I
What's
I
that
don't know what-
mean?
I was just gonna move
Missionary.
past.
Oh.
I was gonna move past
You
it, but
take
I'm
him to
glad that we
Michigan,
didn't.
he's a real
actually.
freak.
That guy
Anywhere else,
loves
normal.
Michigan.
But Michigan really brings out,
Loves
really brings
Michigan.
something out in him.
I'm dead. That's so fucking funny. No, I think that like it's the eyeliner also, that long
Okay.
hair, plus the eyeliner, plus the
It's
facial
giving
hair,
kind of
the
like
wolfish
pirate, like
grin.
rugged pirate
Yes.
a little
Mm.
bit.
It's giving pirate for sure, and I have a pirate thing. But
Who
I
doesn't?
think that like what I'm learning through Werewolf versus Vampire seasonal depression event. Look, I didn't even get scared. Oh my God,
you
that's pretty
blazed
cool.
right through it.
Well, and it's only been 1 day since the last time I said it. So,
Oh, I
so
for
forgot.
you
I
guys,
was gonna
it's
make
been
that
3
joke and
weeks.
be like, it feels like it was just yesterday that we were all together.
It literally was for us, but for you guys, so glad to be back. By the way,
So glad to
oh
be
my
back.
God,
Really
We
long. Oh my
missed
God, it's been so long, but
you.
it feels like it was just
it
yesterday.
feels like it was
No,
just
I worked it on
yesterday.
really natural. Don't worry.
You did
Okay,
it. You
there
did
we
it. You
go.
did
Dude, you
it.
crushed it.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, sorry. We should have acknowledged the fact that we've neglected you for 2 weeks. But
I'm
to us,
sad, sort
it's
of.
been
We had to go
under
back with a
24
bang.
hours.
Yeah, it was yesterday for us.
But I think that what I've discovered through this beautiful special event is that I am really a monster fucker for werewolves. Like I really am.
You're
Monica's a
depends
showing
on
really
the
werewolf,
clear
werewolf.
bias.
It depends on the werewolf, like the lore, because some of the lore is real nasty bad. But I like the lore for this one because it seems like they can control themselves as werewolves.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like they have intent or whatever. I don't like the Harry Potter.
And
I
the
also
older
watched
ones can change at will.
Yeah. I also like the it's better than like poor Remus Lupin from Harry Potter. I just rewatched 4 of those movies where he is not himself at all, once he makes the change.
He
So I
takes
don't
the
like
wolfsbane potion that helps him stay sort of tame.
Yes.
But he's a monster still.
Remus, did you take your potion tonight? Anyway, sorry. But yeah, I think that's what I've discovered. So this is a big thing for me. I do think vampires are sexy still.
Good.
And I love a wolf.
Good.
I love a wolf.
Because eventually, at some point in this event, we're gonna do some movies that are just vampires.
Yeah,
and
like
not
probably the next
werewolves
time.
versus. I will say we're really nailing it on the verses to start off with. And there's a lot of really clear through lines between our first 3 picks, which is so interesting. But we will diverge at some point, and some will have just werewolves.
No,
and some will
literally
have
the
just
next time we
vampires.
do this, it's gonna be just one or the other.
Unless we change
So
our
prepare
minds. I mean,
yourself.
who knows? But
Who
we'll see.
knows?
That's true. That's true. I feel so locked in though, because our next one is so good. But I'm not gonna tell you what it is. While we're still talking about the cast, real quick, I just want to talk about Erica, who's Sophia Miles plays her, the blonde vampire girl.
No, I love Erica.
I am obsessed with her. She is so cute. And also, I was like, I recognize her. I'm looking through her shit. I don't recognize any of it. She is the girl in the fireplace, which is one of the all-time best episodes of Doctor Who.
Oh yeah.
Such a fucking incredible episode. So good. Which reminds me of David Tennant, which reminds me of what I was going to say earlier, which is David Tennant and Michael Sheen are best friends. And they have a really raunchy rapport together, and it's really funny.
They also have that show together.
That show. Yeah, I didn't finish that show. Good Omens. I really liked what I saw of it. It's great. It's a great cast. It's a beautiful cast, and this is so Y2K. Holy shit! Like the new metal Y2K. Fucking. Oh my god. I miss that. I miss that like grungy metal rock that was so popular. And
When
you
they
don't really.
were the police werewolves were driving Michael away as he was starting to transform, and they're like, "Ugh, let's just toot him out," and they like crank the radio and the like
That
metal rah, rah, like I was like, "Yeah!" So
that was
like
the
Kurt Cobain
greatest
loves
part.
that. The Kurt Cobain and me jumped out at that.
That was the greatest part of the entire movie, literally, because they also do their fun little transformation thing there where they go inside of the body, which they had already done
Yeah, for
earlier with
CSI.
Victor. But did you notice that when it went inside of the body, the music got muffled like you were inside of the body and you could
Whoa, no,
hear
I
it
didn't.
through? Oh
That's
my
cool.
God, that made me go crazy. I screamed out loud. I was doing a lot of yelling. I was home alone, so I was doing a lot of screaming and yelling while I watched this movie. Enthralled.
Whoa.
I love that for you.
Enthralled. My cat was scared of me.
Yeah, I would say my experience watching this movie, it was an early morning watch because again, we did record yesterday. So it was a quick turnaround on that part. And I was tie last night, so I just wanted to hang out and go to bed. But I woke up
Fair.
and I got on my little walking pad and I put my headphones in and I zoned in and I just was like strutting to the movie. And I think it was like a very invigorating experience in many ways. I
That
think it
sounds
really was,
awesome.
and I didn't take any notes because I didn't want to. I could only do so many activities at once. But
You could have fallen off the walking pad if you had been
I could have
riding.
died. There, it's
Mhm.
not
You
a
could have
treadmill.
died.
There are no arms to
Please
hold on
don't
to.
put yourself at
So
risk.
yeah.
You're my
Oh
paramour.
my God, I
I
know.
also just
but
got a
I'm
walking
also,
pad and it's a little
It's
scary.
kind of it is a little scary. Because it's like all of a sudden you're stepping on the edge and you're like, ah! But you're actually so
Can
brave
I
and
get a
so
walking
strong, and you're
pad?
working on your core and your balance as well, I assume. But it was a good early morning watch. I mean, the blue light really lends itself to an early morning watch. Um, it's very like atmospheric in that sense. It was a good way to
Yeah.
start the day for sure.
Yeah. So, okay, add this to the list of good wake up early movies. The Others is
Mhm.
another one. This one, not Terrifier one. Um,
Speak for yourself
I
with Terrifier, Monica.
okay, early in the morning, it's a little demoralizing. The first one, I would
think
say
it's a
some of the
good
other ones
nighttime
might be
movie.
different. Yeah. But I want to just do a real quick note on this before we move deeply into it. Danny McBride was one of the writers for this movie. And I
Wow.
just
Danny McBride.
when I
Danny
saw that,
McBride?
I fucking Danny McBride. We've been over this 40 times, Chelsea. He is a horror guy and he writes horror movies. He did the Halloween trilogy, the newish one, which I have mixed feelings about, but I love the first one. And he fucking does this shit. And I just always I'm
I'm
like,
thinking
you've
of a
been
different
saying
guy then.
Danny McBride from fucking
Eastbound and Down, baby.
Eastbound and Down. And
What's the name of
what's
the guy who's in This
not
Is the
Danny
End?
Masterson. Oh, that's what I was first thinking. It was Danny Masterson, and I was like, no. And then I was like, no, Danny McBride. He's
That
also in
guy's
Righteous
Is that a
Gemstones.
different Danny McBride or is it the same Are there just two guys named Danny McBride? Because I'm looking at Underworld writer Danny McBride's IMDb, and his actor, he was only in 7 things as an actor, and the last one was 2003 Underworld.
Oh my God, are there actually two Danny McBrides?
I think there might be 2 Danny McBrides and one who.
Okay, well, one of them
Illegal.
does Halloween. I'm not kidding. He literally does. That's so funny. So Danny
Jail.
McBride, who is from Righteous Gemstones and all the rest, wrote Halloween.
Okay,
and Halloween Kills and Halloween's Ends. But this one is another guy whose name is Danny McBride.
I feel bad for this Danny McBride.
I feel bad for this Danny McBride. So let it be clearly known that actor and producer Danny McBride did not write Underworld, but another man's named Danny McBride. But I don't also want to get it twisted. Danny McBride is also a horror king who writes horror movies. And so that is why this was so easy to think a man with the exact same name was the same man. That's so funny. I guess they don't make you. I guess since he's an actor, he didn't have to change his name. That's the one good thing about SAG-AFTRA doing that thing where everybody has to have a different name.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't
Radio
have
too.
confusion like this. You
Yeah.
never had this type of
I wonder
confusion
if
again in your life.
this Danny McBride was like registered in the Writers Guild or something first, maybe, and so like the other Danny Mc, I
don't
girl, I
really
don't
know
know.
how it works for the Writers Guild, but anyway, so sorry. So sorry to give false information, but I stand by having just cause to think that it was actually Danny McBride. Oh, so excited. Well, good for this guy. He wrote Underworld, Underworld
And
Evolution,
yeah,
Underworld Blood Wars, Underworld Rise of the Lycans. Let's see. Do you know how many Underworld movies there are?
There's a
a
lot.
lot more than I thought. A lot more than I
I
thought.
read an article and said that there was one that came out in 2017.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch them all.
Funny, yeah.
I'm going to at least
Yeah.
watch Evolution. I'm not probably going to watch them all.
Yeah, I finished this one and I was like researching it and like kind of like, well, not researching it. Yeah, I was getting ready to research it, maybe, I guess. And I was like, that's such a shame that there weren't any sequels. It kind of really felt like it wanted to be a sequel, and I kind of would have thought people at the time would have latched on to this, like very Van Helsing adjacent. But that's such a shame. And then I was like, oh wait, no, there are like 4 sequels
17,000.
and a prequel and a TV show and 2 video games, and never mind. Just because I didn't hear about anything doesn't mean that it didn't spawn a major franchise, because turns out it did.
I can't believe that this came out in 2003 with Kate Beckinsale, and then Van Helsing was 2004.
I wonder
Right?
how far apart like the filming was, but I mean, I can see how Kate Beckinsale would look at these 2 roles and go, these are really distinct from each other, even though
They
there's
are.
like very clear thematic overlap in terms of like the movies in general. But like the characters, although they're both like girl boss fighters, they're like very different from each other. They're doing a very different thing. So
Yeah, one's a vampire and one isn't a
fights
vampire.
vampires, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. Big
one
difference.
has straight hair and one has curly hair. Okay, so
One
don't get
has
it twisted.
no. Actually, they both have cunty boots. I was gonna say one has
yeah.
cunty boots. They both have cunty boots,
and they're both in like a
They
latex
both wear
leathery
like
outfit.
corsets. Yeah.
Seriously, the course. This is a fucking slay of an outfit, by the way. Putting on what she's wearing, I feel incredible.
Well, she didn't feel incredible because per IMDb trivia, she had to eat like just chicken and cabbage to fit into it. So
Okay, well that's
She's
why
like
you should
so
not be wearing.
tiny.
She's wearing latex the whole time.
Yeah.
I was thinking while I was watching this outfit would kill Sydney.
Yep, it would. I would die.
I'm so sorry. But it also looked so weird when it was like dirty at the end. It didn't look bad. It looked cool. But I was like, she's all lubed up in latex and now covered in dirt. Must be disgusting. That shit feels terrible.
yeah, she
Who
really
did I
was
talk to
hardcore
who
dressed
wears
as a
that?
dom the whole movie.
Yeah.
And good for her. And she's giving that vibe, so really good for her. But it was very clear, and IMDb trivia supported this for me, but it was very clear that this movie was walking in the shadow of Matrix.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. No, I was reading this article that it was like low key panned when it came out. Sorry, spoilers for your thing that you do later, Chelsea. But like it wasn't well received by critics because they're like, this is stealing Blade, fucking the Matrix, and Resident Evil swag. And I haven't seen Resident Evil, to be honest
They
with you.
wanted to
So
do a crossover with Blade, actually. They wanted Blade to be involved in this movie, or at least this franchise. I'm not sure. But
Blade
Marvel
was
shut it down because they were like, we might want to do something with Blade, so you can't have him.
Blade is was one of the options for the patrons to vote for, just so you know. So we do have that on our minds. There are like several options on there that I'm like, I will probably, if we don't get to them, I'm gonna make it my fucking birthday movie. So we still have to do these movies. Like Queen of the Damned and Dracula 2000. One of those has to be a part of this. But we have to wait months and months and months because we're doing so much Y2K, specifically werewolf versus vampire properties in a row. It's a lot of Y2K. It's a lot of It's a lot of
I guess that
that.
was the era for it. Who knew?
Bring it back. Bring it back. Why isn't this? I guess we're bringing it back. We're bringing it back.
Yeah, we're
Along
real
with
thought
Gen
leaders in the
Z bringing
industry.
back Y2K style. We're bringing back Y2K vibes. But
Mhm.
not all of
Exactly.
them. Only the specific one. Not all the bad other shit that we really hated. We're
I
not
will.
doing any of
Low-rise jeans
that.
we're not bringing back, but
Yeah.
Oh,
leather,
I've been wearing
latex.
low-rise jeans.
You've been wearing mid-rise jeans.
Yeah, you've been wearing modern low-rise jeans, which is not the low-rise of the early 2000s.
I have not bought any new stuff. So
Yeah, I know,
it's
but
not true.
is your zipper bigger than this?
No, because I'm
How
not buying.
much
They don't
of the
make
real estate
pants
above your butt
in
crack
my
is covered?
size.
But that's what
from
low-rise
Y2K.
jeans are, Monica. All
your
low-rise jeans. If your
Vaginal
zipper
mound is
isn't
not protruding above the
this,
top. of
it's
it.
not a
I've
low-rise.
been showing
It's a
off my
mid-rise.
bush. You don't know what I do when I'm not podcasting. You don't know what I've been up to.
Yes, I do. You sent me photos. I would
No,
know if you were
you
showing
didn't
your
reply
bush
to it,
out
so
in
you're
public.
canceled and you don't get to comment on it now because you didn't reply to my selfie I took
I would know
wearing
if
my
you were
team
bush out in public,
Edward-
Monica.
my Team Edward halter top I bought recently with low-rise jeans. It was the most atrocious thing I've ever worn. It was only inside my house, but Sydney didn't gas me up. Rightfully so, honestly.
Because there was no bush. I saw no bush.
Get the bush out.
Okay,
Also, I meant to say
well, wait
pubic
till
mound.
after
I just
this,
want to
babe.
correct the record so that nobody's like, you stupid bitch.
Yeah.
What did you say?
I said vaginal mound, which is, kind of
Pubic
in
mons.
Yeah.
the mons pubis. Should we really get technical?
Mons pubis.
Should we do
Learn
sex ed
that?
right now? Should we pause? Let's pause the podcast. We need to
Wait.
get a diagram. The youths are not being taught this in schools anymore.
Oh yeah, it's gonna be abstinence only from now on, babes. Eat that
Here's
at this
The
point.
mons pubis.
I want to live in
and-
the light. I want to live in the light. I'm changing the subject. We're talking about rays now, okay? That is the werewolf man who's got the cool voice.
He's
That's
one of the
his
writers of
real
this movie,
voice
also.
too.
Kevin
Yeah.
Try again.
Grevois? I don't know
I
how to say French shit. That's why I don't do well when I go to France. They can tell that I have no understanding of even the lightest French word.
I'm gonna
Anyway.
go with Kevin Grevois, maybe.
Grevois? That's maybe
Grevois,
one of
it
the
could
things
be.
I said. No, I said Grevou.
Well, I can see why you would say that. But him and Len Wiseman and this Danny McBride all came up with the story together, and then Danny McBride wrote the actual screenplay. But Reyes, the actor / writer who played Reyes, was one of the creators of this franchise. I guess it's adapted from a book, maybe originally or something. I think I
Ooh,
saw,
I
but I
was
didn't look into it.
wondering because I would love to read that book.
I
I'm
know
on
it's
that
also
kick.
like a video game. It was like a very
I think the video game
popular-
is based on the movies.
Yeah.
Is my understanding based on looking at IMDb. So I didn't look it up, but
I'll message Leo right now.
yeah, he'll know.
Expert.
But he was he was one of the people who crafted the story, and he was like really bringing his own experiences into the movie. So the romance between Celine and Michael, per IMDb trivia at least, is like reminiscent of his own experiences with interracial romance and relationships. So I thought that was interesting.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that's something that I really enjoyed about this vampire werewolf property here. It was a very diverse cast, which is a breath of fresh air after all the Twilight that we've been experiencing lately. And I read the books, and I've been reading the illustrated guide, so I'm learning just how far it goes. But I love that, and I loved Reyes so much. Such a cool part of the beginning. And I love his chest with those fucking
When he gets
spinny knife circles,
razor wheels.
Yeah, that could be
Yeah.
it. Those have a name. We'll figure it out later. I'll find out in a second. But
Can we
I
talk
I
about
was
how
so into him.
much cooler the werewolves are than the vampires in this movie? Like the
Yeah, the
vampires
werewolves
don't.
blow. I mean,
but,
the
like-
werewolves don't blow. The vampires blow.
Yeah, like the vampires don't really do any vampire-y things. They just shoot guns. And like Celine bites one person. They're not like, and they can jump from like tall buildings. Like, I want more vampire stuff, you know?
Yeah, they're kind of like in a weird position where it's like they live in their giant vampire mansion, but also they've been at war for centuries. So like are their resources lessened in some way, or like what is their deal? It seems like that's their ancestral home because that's where the masters go into their slumber. Um
Yeah, the lore is a little confusing to me.
And it's
And
like, where does this movie
also,
take place?
I
Because
think
it's
it's in
like they filmed
England.
well, I don't know where they filmed actually, but maybe Hungary, because like Michael's address is like a Hungarian address, but then it's like he
Oh.
works at hospital with Wentworth Miller, and they both seem to just be American.
Well, Michael says that he moved over here, which makes me think it's across the pond at the very least.
Okay.
I don't know. Did Kate Beckinsale have a British accent in this?
Yes.
Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Even though she is
does.
Hungarian, but she is also
Oh, so okay, it is
1,000
supposed to
years
be
old.
Hungary.
So.
It's supposed to be Hungary. But yeah, he was from the States and he moved over after the tragic death of his wife in a car accident.
Oh,
I also want to say that I
I was
watched the
gonna say,
extended
yeah.
edition, and
I was
so
like, how
if
do you
there's
know
anything
that?
I say that doesn't make any sense, let me know. They didn't have that?
They
Wow,
have,
okay.
when Celine goes in his apartment, she looks at the pictures of him and the woman, but then they don't ever really get into like who that is. I saw on
Oh,
IMDb trivia that it was like that's Danny McBride's wife who like posed for those photos.
okay. I got
Um,
you. I got you. I'll fill you in
okay.
right now. I thought it was a weird cut in the movie as well. There are a couple of times where the audio mix was fucked with some okay. Congratulations. The audio mix was fucked. Especially in some of the parts with Craven. I know I could sense that those were additional scenes. But I was surprised about this, but it was a really weird, awkward cut. They're having this conversation, and this is after Michael's already been bitten. And he's already been to Celine's house, and then he came back to Celine's house and was like, help me. And they're like, fuck you, no. And then
Right.
she escapes to go help
They
him or
go to the
whatever.
interrogation area.
Yeah. So she takes her to the interrogation room. Um, before locking him up, she explains her backstory. Did she do that for you guys? Her
Yeah, with
backstory was that
Victor.
like her family was all being slaughtered by lichens, and then Victor saved her and changed her. And so she's telling that story, and then she's like, I saw that picture of your wife, essentially. And there's like a really weird cut where it moves to some other conversation with other people in another place. And then it cuts back to their intimate conversation. And he's like, actually, what happened was this. And basically, they're in like a horrible car accident, and the motor like came through the dashboard and like crushed her, but she was still alive. I know, it's very horrific. It was detailed. And she was like, are you okay? Because she was so focused on him, but she was literally dying. And he was like, if I knew what I know now, I would have been able to save her. And I was like, I don't know, man. Like, you're a doctor, maybe, but I don't know. You might also be a nurse. A nurse can do a lot of amazing things. But if she was crushed by a motor, I don't know
If she was
if you
crushed,
could have
yeah.
saved her. And then she died 2 minutes before the ambulance arrived. And that's why he moved across the pond to Hungary, because he was trying to start a new life, because there's nothing that held him there anymore with his wife gone. Anyway, there's some exciting lore for you. Here's another question I have. Did the part where Erica is like, hold on, actually, don't talk about that right now, and she just takes her top off, is that in the movie?
I don't think.
No!
I mean, I could have missed it, but I don't think so.
Too
I
Craven.
missed it also.
He's like, I need to go and I need to do something. Craven, and he's like, very like, I need to go do something. And she's like, okay, well, maybe not right now. And then she takes her top off, and then they have sex.
No.
Yeah.
Oh my
I
God,
knew it
that's
was
so
good. That
interesting, though.
the reason that I watched the extended edition is because it was 50 cents cheaper.
Gotta save money. Gotta save money, girl.
And
That's why I rented it on
so-
Vudu, which is now Fandango at home instead of on
wow.
Prime.
So that's the whole
Oh.
reason, but I'm glad that I did it because I got to see that scene. I was like, damn, I love Erica.
I love
Girl
Erica.
wants that
I
man
was
hard.
so worried that you guys were gonna dismiss her as a pick me because she is being
I
kind
mean,
of a
she
pick
kinda
me when she's like,
is.
I would never treat you like that, Craven. But I think like
It's a power grab.
yes, she wants. Well, I also would argue that I don't think she wants to just be with Craven. I think she wants her and Craven and Celine to all be together. Um, and she's willing to transition to her, Celine, and Michael being together when it's clear that the wind is blowing that way instead. I think she just wants to be in a throuple with Celine and a handsome man, is what I think. Because she clearly likes Celine. And she helps her escape, and Celine's like, "Why are you doing this?" And she's like, "It helps me." And it's like, tell yourself that, girl. That's fine. But she clearly likes Celine, and I don't think she wants to be queen. I think she's more of a princess. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I guess I could see that too.
she's giving like I was thinking about this a lot earlier when I was driving home. She's like, "That's mommy and that's daddy, and I'm baby, but we are all." Is the
Fucking.
vibe. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Of course, that age-old trope.
That age-old throuple dynamic. Yeah.
Classic throuple dynamic.
Interrupting your normal programming to let you know that Leo told me that we were correct and the movie came first for this. And then the game
Before the
came
video games?
after
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Well, what about a book?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't ask him that. I asked him
Oh my
about the video
God.
game.
Underworld book. I'm Googling.
I looked up the book. I looked that up too. 1997.
Yeah.
Is it about this?
No.
Nope. Nope. It's not about this. This is a different book. Today we're doing a lesson on
Underworld.
spreading misinformation, but then correcting ourselves live.
Immediately correct.
Feature film directorial debut.
I think I might need to take off the.
The word
turn
book does
this
not
up.
appear on the Wikipedia page for this movie, so maybe I made that
Damn.
up.
Maybe there's a novelization,
Could've
an after the
sworn.
fact novelization. I've read a few of those, and
I would
not
love
always
to
the
be
best.
involved with those. I think that would be fun.
I read the novelization of Crimson Peak. It was just like reading the movie, but I loved it.
I love that.
Great to experience it in another way. But yeah, I do. Back to what Sydney was saying a minute ago, it's so rare to see a movie where the vampires don't like fuck hard. You know what I mean? I mean, in my version, they did fuck. But it just is so obvious that they're the bad guys throughout because there's all these like lines. Like obviously Craven's bad. Hot, by the way. Oh my god.
But also
sorry.
maybe Craven's good.
Yeah, no, okay, yeah. He is bad
It's complicated.
if you're a vampire, but is he good? But was that also a power grab?
He's just morally gray.
He's just trying to get ahead. Yeah.
He's definitely
Craven's
trying to
out
do
for
a power
Craven.
grab because you see what he does later on in the movie, and it's like that's not a good guy thing to do. Certainly not. He's doing mean guy things all the time, and he is backstabbing people. Like when he shoots Lucian. We're fully getting into spoiler territory. So by the way, this is a podcast where we spoil everything. But so I don't think that he's a good guy. I think he was just trying to like come to power like behind the elders' backs, essentially. But yeah, it's so clear. Like hey guys, if you're in a society that says it's illegal for you to research history of our society, it might be a bad society. It might be a bad thing that you're a part of. Hey, don't try to learn from our mistakes. Hey, don't even look back. Don't look back for a second. Red flag.
To today as well.
Couldn't agree more. Yeah, could not agree more. I did love the whole like world building thing with the vampires and stuff, like the lore of the vampires. I thought it was very interesting how they had the 3 elders and like one of them is
Yeah.
awake at any given time and the other two are put into stasis essentially. So like they can
And you
keep
can't
the
break the
old
chain.
knowledge. Yeah, I thought that was super interesting. I wish we had gotten to know what was her name? Amelia?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Amelia
She
more.
seems like
She seemed like
she
she
was
slayed.
there
She was
just to
hot.
serve for 5 seconds. Yeah.
She served for 5 seconds and then she got fucking wrecked.
Bled
Absolutely wrecked.
dry.
Right?
Yeah.
She did
Not,
not
not
deserve
good.
that we know of.
Well, they did do slavery, so maybe she did deserve.
Yeah, they did. That was yeah, the whole lore for this was really interesting. And then apparently it was all like a lot of the lore was what critics did like, but that was lifted off of other properties that existed before and they didn't credit it and
Oh,
there was a lawsuit.
there was a settlement, yeah.
There was a settlement, yeah. So they got kudos for having cool lore, but kudos takesy backsies because I don't know what part they actually came up with. Still love the man who plays Reyes. Don't get me wrong, but plagiarism is bad.
Yeah, I mean, they settled privately, so we'll never know what the deal
We'll
is. But they
never know.
certainly did not think it was worth the fight in court, at least to try and be like, we
Yeah.
came up with this independently. So,
but yeah,
sometimes
I
that
thought
happens. Sometimes you're just like, whatever. Everybody had the same idea, but let's not have a fight. Let's just.
yeah.
But
Let's
I mean,
just
who knows?
be civil. Yeah, there's no way to know. Those documents are sealed. But I think that the lore of the Lycans being a previously enslaved like race and the protectors of the vampires, I thought that was really interesting. I think that the whole like crux of the story being like what happens when the two mix and how can they mix, I thought that was interesting. I thought it was very like Y2K for it to be like a little science experiment that they were doing too, to be like, we put the blood and the other blood together and then they eat each other or whatever. I thought that was really interesting. And I thought the lore of like the first vampire being a person who survived the plague and having 3 children, one that was bitten by a bat, one by a wolf, and one was human. I loved that. I'd love to read more. I would love to read a book with that. I don't know. It's
There
very
was
intriguing to me.
something in the trivia. Yes, the name Corvin, derived from Corvinus, is most likely a reference to Matthias Corvinus of Hungary, who was an ally of Vlad Tepes, the inspiration for Bram Stoker's Dracula. So, like, they were pulling from like real
Cool.
history to some degree, which is interesting. Yeah, but I also found it a little confusing because they were like, they say he had 2 children, and then they were like, one bitten by a bat, one bitten by a wolf, one who was human, and I was like, that's 3 children.
I know.
But
I noticed
whatever.
that too, and I was like,
They
okay.
say he had at least 2 children, which I'm gonna tell you now that's true, but that's because I'm gonna name a third.
They don't value human lives, and so they didn't even.
That doesn't really
Care to
count to
say.
us, but we do need it, and we will follow the bloodline. And we're finding all the men in the area named Corbin, JT Corbin. Cross him off our list. They're out here.
And
They're out here.
shockingly, it was the hottest one. That was the one that they
Well,
wanted.
we don't know
Right.
what all the other ones look like. There could be an even hotter
There's
one out there.
pictures. There's pictures of other ones from the bloodline. Maybe this is in my version. They showed like a wall of other Corvins
They
that they
showed
have
a
tried.
wall, I think. Yeah, but I don't feel like I got a real good look at all of the other Corbins.
They weren't as hot. I'm gonna tell you
They
right
weren't as
now,
hot.
Chelsea.
Of course,
You were
it's
the hottest one.
one.
You were the hottest one.
Stop. Oh my god. Okay.
Oh my god. Yeah, I don't know. I just was so compelled that it was a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. I was like, the classic tragic romance.
Once
It's
again, very
beautiful.
Twilight new moon.
It was very important to me. I would love a version where they talk to each other at all. That'd be so cool. I thought that'd be
They
really
didn't
fun.
need to speak. Their eyes were communicating as they gazed into each other.
Do you feel that tension between us right now? But what if my eyes just turn blue all of a sudden? When do
Whoa, that'd
so
be
do their
crazy.
eyes turn
Yeah.
blue just when they have blood or
When
they're
they're
like
going like Super Saiyan
fighting?
mode.
I'm not really
It's like on
sure.
X Games mode a little bit. It's like when they use their vampire or whatever, their eyes turn blue.
I love the blue contacts. That was fun because it's the blue vibes and
Yeah.
everything.
They were
So that was
absolutely
cool.
giving that Miley Cyrus blue-eyed memes, though.
Dude, okay, well, the problem was that they looked fucking wall-eyed half the time because they had some like contact tracking happening. Like during like a very, very crucial scene between Victor and Celine, Victor's eye is like off to the fucking side, and I could not stop thinking about it. I was like, pause it and fix it. Oh my God. And also, like, I could see the contacts on her eyes. Like I could see the outline because it was so close up to her face. Took me out of it a little bit, but I was like, maybe in this world, when you're a vampire, it doesn't give you 20/20 vision.
She still needs contacts. Yeah.
She still needs contacts.
Well, I
I
can't say I noticed that, but I was definitely further away from my TV than you were.
I was on my iPad, so I had it real
Yeah,
fucking
so
close
you're
to my
like,
face.
yeah,
It was up there, up there. Maybe that
really in
was
the
the
details.
extended edition. They didn't delete they didn't go in and
for the regular
post
version, they
and
went,
erase it.
actually, yeah.
I really loved the werewolf eyes too, but the black with like the blue vein thing going through
Yeah.
it. I thought that was really cool. And I thought that the effects were really interesting in this too. And I wanted to do more research on them, but I had a computer snafu, so it didn't work out. But the mix between CGI and practical I thought was really fun because a lot of it was CGI, but they had like dudes in werewolf suits running around for part of it. That at least I could tell. Maybe that was another thing in the extended edition. But did you notice that it was practical in parts?
I read on IMDb trivia that there was one scene where let me find it because I didn't copy it into my notes, I guess. But there was one scene that they filmed where Lucian is like running behind the car, that scene. And
Mm-hmm.
that one they filmed like close up shots with Michael Sheen himself.
Mm-hmm.
And also, okay, I found it. Len Wiseman opted to shoot many of the action and effects sequences live without computer imagery. In one scene, for instance, a werewolf seems to run more than 50 miles per hour behind a speeding car. This was shot using an elaborate rig towed behind a vehicle, with actor Michael Sheen doing the close ups of the running and the jump onto the car, while the long shot of Lucian running was done by stuntman Todd Schneider. So that actually is not maybe relevant to what you were saying, as it turns out, because I don't think that's the scene where he transforms into being
That's when
the werewolf. He only
he's
does that one
still
time.
being sexy Michael Sheen. Um, but yeah, no, I think that the design for the werewolves itself was super interesting, and I liked it. I liked they weren't that furry. That was mostly this like
Mm-hmm.
leathery kind of hide. And
Hounds from
you,
hell.
yeah, I like that they look so distinct from wolves, and again, so different from Harry Potter, where like it's kind of like sickly and skinny and like willowy. These are like buff fucking Mac Daddy
These
wolves.
are like
Okay,
scary.
they're scary and like a little. They're still sexy a little bit. This was just something I have to say. Sorry, I'm learning about myself through this event. We've already talked about
And
it.
I'm learning about you too.
Yeah, I don't usually like buff people, but
If you're a
something
wolf,
about
If you're a
wolves.
turns
wolf.
out, yeah.
If you're a wolf, it's a whole different story. Um, but what was I gonna say? Besides that, I think that the usually I'm so disinterested in transformation in werewolf movies because like it's I'm always thinking of American Werewolf in London and nothing can measure up. And this obviously does not, but it was super disgusting to me how like you could feel like their like bones were like popping into place like as their face expanded. I just thought it was visually stimulating. I was stimulated.
I bet you were.
More ways than one. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Got him.
I will say this movie is 2 hours long, and it did very much feel 2 hours long for me. Because it could, if it were a completely different movie with a different story, there are so many other points where it'd be like, and we're halfway through now. But it has so much ground to cover, that it just does keep going. And then
They
it
have
also
to
keeps going
shoot
for 4
guns
more
for 40.
movies.
They
Yeah.
have to shoot guns for 45 minutes. They
Yeah.
have to shoot guns for
A
45
lot of
minutes.
guns.
I can see people who are like, this is their genre, being like fucking psyched and thrilled about that. And it wasn't like it didn't detract from the movie for me, but I was like, this is a long watch. This is like, you gotta be dialed in.
Yeah, I was dialed in, so luckily I didn't have an issue with that. But I see what you mean totally. I watched a version that was okay. It said it was 2 hours and 14 minutes long. I don't know if there's an after credit scene, but it ended at 2 hours and 7 minutes, so only 7 minutes longer. So 7 minutes of credits, I guess. And I felt like it was just the right amount of time. But yeah, that's the thing. I recently was having this thought where I was like, what's the line of horror and action? We were talking about this with like horror and sci-fi and that sort of a thing. And I was like, oh, if they have a gun, does it make it less horror? Because then it like gets like, I don't know, there's something about that makes it feel like more like an action movie to me. But this is so obviously in the world of horror because we're with like supernatural creatures, but I think it's like a good crossover, just like how Predator is a good crossover of horror and action as well. Obviously, very different movies.
And people talk a lot about how like Alien is giving horror, but like Aliens 2 is like a little more in the action space.
Definitely. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting how you can the line of the genre is it moves all the time, and that's why we don't subscribe to that and we do whatever we want.
It's our podcast. We make the rules.
We make the rules.
Hee hee. Thanks for coming along for the ride, you guys.
We love you. What was I gonna say? Oh, also was very moved by the way that Victor became a dude again instead of whatever that nice.
Yeah, but I wanted him to stay like mummified creature for the whole movie. I really liked that aesthetic, and I thought he looked kind of sexy that way. And then he got increasingly normal, and I was disappointed.
At first, he looked kind of like beef jerky a little bit. And
yeah,
then
and I liked that.
They hydrated him.
I loved all of the like red, like the blood being pumped into him through all those spouts, and really I fucking
and it like dripping
hate
on
needles,
his teeth
but
into his mouth.
That was cool. That was cool. I'll give him that.
I thought that was cool. Well, I thought it was pretty. Like there was no way that he wasn't gonna get sexy because that's the whole thing with being a vampire is that you get sexy, and these vampires are super sexy. It made sense to me that it took him a long time, and even then he still looked kind of not so good at the end there. He had some eye bags still. It takes a long time to rehydrate after you're that nasty wasty.
And he wasn't even supposed to be awakened yet. She broke the chain, so like he hadn't gotten all of his beauty sleep in.
I have a technical / lore question for you guys that I'm not sure if this is something that was in just my version or not, but there's a part where Craven this has to be in your part too. We've already covered what the story was of how Celine became a vampire.
Yeah.
And it was Victor saving her from the Lycans that were killing her family. Exactly. And then Craven, who is hot and sexy but a piece of shit, even if he was helping my one true love Lucian for a second there. And he reveals that all of Celine's life has been a lie and that Victor actually killed her entire family. And then
blamed it on werewolves.
Blamed it on werewolves.
He's bitch coded.
Because he's a bitch, and also felt that he so
is above
drawn
the
to her
rules
because she looked like
Sonia.
His daughter, not wife, excuse me. Got confused by that weird throuple thing you were saying earlier.
What do you mean introducing mommy, daddy, baby dynamics threw you off?
But yeah, but in that part, Craven was like, he broke the rules. He drank blood.
Oh, he got tired of eating livestock and he went out and gorged himself on human blood.
Well, I guess I missed that in the beginning. Are they fucking vegetarians? Like, have they moved?
They don't really get into it. Honestly.
They don't get into it at all.
Except for there's a scene in the interrogation room where she's like, "Yeah, we were doing synthetic plasma. Blood is next up. It's gonna make us fucking bank." She didn't say, "And that's what we'll drink as well," or anything like that. But the only real animal stuff they get into is like they have dogs on the property. Who are they're like guard dogs, I guess. But
see, in a lot of ways, these are really defanged vampires. Like, you don't get to see them do anything with their fucking teeth for the most part. There's a little bit,
they're just like
a very
chilling
little
in
bit.
fancy outfits in their castle.
Yeah, and they look hot, and they got the cool eyes, so like good. But
and the ones who are the death dealers are like dressing up in sleigh outfits and like going to their own quartermaster Khan, who's giving them gadgets, and then they're going out on the town. But
quartermaster through line through all of these movies. Yeah, that's so weird. I was like, what the fuck? What do you mean he broke the rules? What rules? Eating lives? What are you talking about? Yeah. This has not been established.
You guys didn't tell me that information before.
Yeah, I was so
the
confused.
lore background is not loring, you know?
No. But I mean, okay, we talked about my love for Lucian. We talked about how he's hot. We talked about the aftermath of what happened with him and Sonia, but we didn't talk what happened with him and Sonia. I love that Michael has this ability to like glean people's histories just by touching them or whatever the fuck that was.
No, it's
what
from
happened?
The bite. It's from when Lucian bit him, and then he started to get Lucian's memories. Kind of like how Celine in Awakening Victor, she uses her blood, and then he gets her memories, but because she's not an elder, she doesn't know how to do it. It's like the memories are like disconnected, disjointed. But you see her like prepping for it at least, because she has that scene where she like writes in the steam like Victor in the mirror and then wipes it off to be like, "Hello Victor, leaving you a voicemail for when you get this message.
Funny.
Here's the deal.
It was like so ahead of its time.
Being a bitch and he's betraying you, and really sorry I broke the chain. Please don't get me in trouble, please, please, please. But I felt like I had to. Okay, see you when you wake up."
Besos. So funny.
Yeah. And then she's like, "What do you mean you don't know what's going on? I told you everything." And it's like, girl.
We'll just tell him again right now. But he doesn't fucking care. He's such an
But
idiot.
that's also why.
Bad guy.
Yeah, I thought it was so interesting when Craven was called in to talk to Victor and Celine. And Victor was like, "Okay, wake Marcus up then, because now we got to deal with this shit." And he's like, "Oh, we can't wake up Marcus yet. Like, we can't wake up Marcus. Amelia has to come to it, blah, blah, blah." And that is because Craven obviously doesn't want the elders to have access to his memories, where it would be revealed that Lucian is alive and they made a deal and he's been working with the Lycans this whole time.
He's been hanging out with
like,
him.
"Oh my God, no, like, actually, that's not the way we're supposed to do things. Remember, Amelia's coming." And for whatever reason that works with Victor. Victor has like this trust in him, I guess, because he's been covering up Victor's human attacks for years, possibly. So he's like, "Actually, that's my right-hand guy because he covers up my crimes. He helps me do cover-ups." So I trust him. And it turns out that making an ally out of somebody who's willing to lie to the whole coven, sometimes you're the one in the coven getting lied to.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Who would have thought? That's insane. The one stylistic choice I didn't really love with this movie was the Sonia Lucian flashback scene though.
the only time we see Lucian as a werewolf in this entire movie.
Yeah, which is crazy, girl. He like almost starts to transform for a second after he's been shot by the silver, and then he goes, actually, never mind.
JK.
That's because he looked so sexy as a werewolf man.
Actually,
and they're like,
I'm really working it right now, and I'm
like,
gonna keep
we're
this
a
going.
action thriller movie, not a monster fucker movie.
They were like,
They
Michael
are a
Sheen.
monster fucker movie because they're intermingling species.
The monsters
Yeah, but
are
you
fucking.
don't see it.
Look, we all come from the same family, so it's
Right?
fine.
We're
Actually,
all
in the
in the
unrated
club, we all
version,
fam.
you do see them fucking. I'm kidding. Can you imagine?
Naked, dirty, sexy Ron.
Got wild. I just wanted to see Lucian when he was all loved up and sad, you know, but they kept making
you
his
gotta
face.
watch the prequel for that.
Oh, I would love to watch the prequel. Is it Michael
that
Sheen?
one is Underworld Rise of the Lycans that came out in 2009. That one's the prequel. And then when they re-released
Michael Sheen.
Yeah, Michael Sheen is in it. Playing Lucian.
Good. Then I'll watch it.
Here's the thing. At some point in one of these movies, Theo James is in it. In one of these movies.
Yeah. Well, at some point, the guy who plays Michael stops being in the movies, and I don't know if that's a character choice or if the actor was like not interested anymore. I don't know if he got recast. I'm like not looking into this right now because it's like, well, what if one day I want to watch 5 Underworld movies?
Let's leave the door wide open for that.
But yeah, they also, when they released this original Underworld, they like did the remaster or whatever in 2017, I think, unless I'm remembering wrong. They replaced the flashback scene as we see it in this movie with the scene from the prequel that they filmed later on, because in the flashback from 2003, Sonia is like a blonde, and then when they did that movie later, they recast that role based on other than like whatever, you know, extra basically was filming it at the time in 2003, and it's a dark-haired woman, so you can tell it's different.
It was so sepia, you can barely tell. That part was sepia, by the way. It wasn't blue.
I guess it was kind of beige. Yeah, it was kind of beige as I recall.
It was brown.
Showed that it was a different time.
Again, it takes 3 seconds, and I was like, the greatest love story of all time. I was like, oh my God, how could they do that? It is gutting, okay, that he had to watch her burn alive. And that the necklace that is so like a part of his character is actually her necklace.
Yeah.
Also,
and they were having a baby.
They're having a baby.
So this is actually also a through line revenge story from last week as well, but I won't say anymore, just in case somebody skipped that episode in that movie.
It's a revenge flick for sure. The whole war has been revenge for Lucian, and that's fair. Honestly, fair. I'm not down with war, but pretty good impetus for a war.
Pretty down with revenge.
Down with revenge, and also the Lycans had been enslaved for years, so rise up, baby.
Yeah,
rise up. Gotta rise up. What was I gonna say? Oh, just a little more Lucian talk for a second. One, obsessed with the liquid silver, whatever.
Oh, the silver nitrate bullets.
The silver nitrate bullet and
Red
the daylight bullets.
Yeah.
Those were so cool. I liked the cool tech. I thought it was interesting. It was annoying that it wasn't normal vampire stuff, but then I was like, okay, but
it's kind of slay. Yeah.
A little bit.
I also like that the werewolves have like silver blood. Also, like when you shoot them, it's silver. Did y'all notice that?
I think that was the silver nitrate coming out.
Did you notice that early in the movie or only at the end of the movie?
I think
I only noticed it at the last couple of kills once they started using the silver nitrate.
That one guy was like pushing the bullets out of his skin at one point, and the
blood was red. It was the silver nitrate was like spraying through, so that's how you could like tell that they had switched to those types of bullets.
They should have silver blood. It would be way cooler.
That would be cool. But then also they
I
would
thought
die,
it was
maybe.
so cool that how you could see it traveling under their skin
Mm.
through their
Yeah.
veins. And I was just like obsessed with Michael Sheen's makeup after he had got shot with those bullets and he didn't die.
It
And
took
he
him
had those
literally
like
so long to fucking die. I was like, he is using sheer force of will to stay alive because I'm pretty sure the way they talked about these bullets, they were like straight to the bloodstream, kills you instantly, no hope of survival. And then he was like, and I've got 10 more minutes.
well, Lucian is the king of the werewolves,
He's the
and
king.
so he's extra special. But I loved those like dark purple veins he had on his face after he like somehow was still alive. He had like 20 extra minutes. It was crazy.
He kept
Um,
going, girl.
he kept going. Also, oh my God. Is it too early to talk about like the end part or no? What do you guys want to talk about next? Because I want to talk about
I do want to talk
Michael
about the
more.
scene where Michael is at the vampire mansion when Celine has first brought him and he's like recuperating and he's sleeping and Erica goes in the room to just be nosy and because she is obsessed with Celine. And then she sees his bite and she like shoots up onto the ceiling like a scared cat when he wakes
Yes,
up and she's like a cat and he's like a dog and they're like ah! I like
that was
that.
so funny. I love
Apparently,
that.
that's one of the most popular scenes in this film.
That makes sense.
I don't know
I
how
like the
director Len
characterization of
Wiseman knows that, but that's what he said. And her
cats,
fangs look extra long. Oh, yeah. Okay, this is
vampires.
where I read it. It says Erica's eyes are described as being violet in the novel, although they are blue in the film. And then so I was like, what novel are you guys talking about?
Huh, I don't know.
Underworld
Inspiration.
2003 novel.
Underworld movie book.
Oh, yes, it came out in 2003, so it must have been a novelization.
I'm gonna read it. Maybe they'll talk. Maybe Michael and Celine will
Maybe.
talk in the book. That'd be cool.
That would be
Unless they say
crazy.
dumb shit. Maybe they'll ruin it. um
Somebody in a review
oh,
said Greg Cox did an amazing job explaining more to the story than the movies did not. So,
I feel like it makes sense that vampires are cats and werewolves are dogs. Obviously werewolves are dogs, but vampires
yeah.
are so cats.
Yeah, makes sense to me too. Except then they had dogs as
Feline.
pets. But apparently those dogs, those dog actors, very friendly, very nice, couldn't act mean to save their lives on camera. You can see their tails like wagging happily if you look at it. They just had to film like short bursts of them and then like inlaid barking sounds over it.
Cuties.
Because they were
Not
just
the
like,
quite
"Yay,
the
I'm
Leonardo
happy to be at work."
DiCaprios of
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, but they were at least lovely on set. We love a lovely on set experience. Um, okay, now can we talk about
Yeah.
the end
Yes.
part? Okay. Okay. So, ooh, something happened. My headphones just died? Hold on one second.
Did they?
Please hold. Oh no, I've got 1% left. Oopsies. Okay, well, we're gonna let this ride. It's gonna work out. It's gonna be fine. Um, okay. Absolutely was I obsessed with the scene. The Romeo and Juliet scene, but then Lucian's there. Where Michael's been shot already with the silver nitrate, and Celine's like, oh fuck, what the fuck do I do? And Lucian's like, bite him. Love that. Very sexy, very slay. I cannot get over the way that Michael looked post transformation. Obsessed. Incredible. Iconic. I loved it. I personally loved it. I thought it was I thought it was so badass. I was like, what an
Ah!
interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I love the blackout eyes, like the
Yeah.
fully
Yeah.
blacked
There's an
eyes.
X-Men that he
Oh
looks like.
yeah. The blue guy, Beast.
Yeah. Oh, is that his name? Because I kept thinking like well, now I'm gonna say Beastie Boy, which I feel like is not what I was thinking before, but I was thinking, what's the Teen Titan?
Beast Boy.
Beast Boy.
Okay. Beast Boy, Beastie Boys, Beast. You can see how they're all in conversation with each other.
I understand. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah.
I just, oh my God. I couldn't have anticipated that. I was like, how are they gonna do this? How are they gonna make a hybrid
What's he
and
gonna
make
look
it
like? Yeah.
cool, you know? And like they made the right choice, which the right choice was to prioritize him still being sexy. So he couldn't go full wolf. He couldn't go big buff, big face thing. That is only hot to me. And a select few elites. But I love that they gave him that because the werewolves have that like musculature that's like kind of like knotting under their skin and stuff, and so he has that like weird like big muscle knot thing on his chest and stuff, and his ribs were different, and
he needed to have some sort of physical transformation just to mark him as different for one, and also to be like giving the werewolf vibe, because the vampires just look normal and they don't really change ever at any point other than when their eyes go blue. But I mean, Victor calls Sonia's child with Lucian an abomination, and I think that this aesthetic was giving abomination for sure.
But I don't hate it.
In a good way.
Love it.
Yeah,
Good
in a great way.
Abomination positive, not derogatory.
Abomination affectionate.
Affectionate. Incredible. Incredible. I was screaming. I was like, oh hell yeah. I loved how he looks. And I just think that actor's really hot. So
yeah.
I was like, I need to see a little bit more of him
hot
in this movie. I could do with a little more of him in Underworld. But honestly, more Celine as well. And we got a lot of Celine. So cut all the other actors. No, I'm kidding. I liked them too. More Erica, less Craven, even though he's so sexy. Shane
More
Burley.
Erica for sure. I loved Erica.
She's so funny. She's so good.
Scott Speedman plays Michael.
I could not get over the like final blow of this movie though. I was like, is this real? It was so funny. Was it okay? I want to make sure it's the same. What happened at the end for you guys?
You mean when she defeats Victor?
Yeah, how did she defeat Victor?
Probably the same way.
Okay, good.
She has his ancestral sword. Is it made of silver? I don't know. He has a sword, which is cool.
Very magical.
And she grabs his sword, and then she like does a slice as she jumps past him. I'm taking these things back out. She does a slice as she jumps past him, and I thought his whole head was gonna come off, but then he like whips around to face her, and he like pulls out his other knives as well, but then his head slides in half.
And it
slides right
It
off.
was giving Ghost Ship.
It was giving Ghost Ship.
I love when that shit happens. I love how long it takes. I love when it takes too long for something like that to slough off. I think that is.
Well, because I was almost disappointed when he didn't slough off, when he like, especially when he did a fast turnaround. You know what I mean?
I thought it was gonna like
just tumble. But I did like the way that they did it. And another kill that I liked is how Michael Sheen has his Lucian has his secret sleeve knife. And he stabbed it through the leg of
Craven.
He
didn't die. Yeah. He didn't die, but he was fucked up. He got away, so that's set up for the sequel.
Whoa.
Underworld Evolution. I like this movie. But it could always be better. And how could it be better? By being gayer.
Yeah.
How could this movie be gayer?
Sydney, you were saying earlier that there was a fight scene that was homoerotic, but I don't know which one you were talking about.
Which one? Between
there's a lot of
Victor and hugging. Michael. They're just like pushing up on each other, and they're like in each other's faces, and it's like really hot. And I was like, oh my god.
They're both in a way fighting for Celine's heart.
The Bill doesn't deserve her. Sorry, that's his
I
real name. Victor doesn't deserve her.
Yeah.
I was
Well, he
looking
lives
up
for,
Bill
like, a
Nighy
daughter.
young
Mm. Yeah.
because I think he's hot at his current age. So, oh my
Yeah.
god, yeah, he was really hot when he was young. Anyway, keep going.
I feel like Celine is previous to meeting Michael, and not that she would have identified this way in her human years necessarily, but I feel like Celine was like a lesbian, but she did hook up with Erica sometimes on and off over the years. But that's part of why she was like so uninterested in Craven. And she keeps being like, I'm literally a lesbian. And he's like, but we're meant to be, girl. And then she meets Michael. And it's just like sometimes you just like meet a person who like you just really click with and you're really drawn to. And it doesn't matter whatever ideas you had about your sexuality or anything. Like sometimes it's just
Goes
like even if
beyond.
you're like I'm a lesbian and I know I'm a lesbian, sometimes it's just like but me and this person. And so I think that's also part of why it made Craven so mad, because he was like, you've literally been telling me that you're a lesbian for 500 years and now you're gonna get with this guy. And it's like, well, I don't know what
And
to
it's
tell you,
not
girl,
me.
we're soulmates.
That's actually my guy. So I
That's
don't know what
actually
to
my
tell
fucking
you.
guy. So
Yeah, I would love a lesbian version of this though. Whew. Oh my
mhm.
Oh
If
yeah, that would be
god.
Michaela Corbin. Yeah,
nice.
why does it have to be a
Michaela
guy? Do they even look at
doesn't
any
need to be a
female
guy.
descendants?
I think they're trying to make a baby, but they're already doing science experiments, so why not go the extra mile and make it so two women can create a child? We're almost there.
We're
Exactly.
almost there.
We're almost there. That's what we need. Once we can do
Mhm.
that, we can take over.
Yeah, I didn't like fully understand the crux of their science experiment, because they were like, we're testing his blood and he has it, but then how were they going to do the vampire part? Was like Craven going to be a part? I don't know. I think it's like I don't need to understand the plan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I trust that they had it under control until they didn't anymore, and then Lucian improvised when he was like, bite him. So
Well, they
good
might
enough
have
for
been
me.
planning to turn him all along, but I don't know. I don't know if
Yeah.
there's evidence for that. But I think like the point of that was one to be like, see, it can happen, and two, be like, and now we have this entity that is stronger than the vampire, so they can stop fucking murking us all the time. Even though it seems like the werewolves have better weapons, had until their daylight things, daylight bullets were revealed to the vampire horde, and then they immediately did fancy science and did silver nitrate bullets
They
because
said,
all they
oh,
had
we'll
was
just
just
empty
normal.
these out.
Yeah, they're like, oh, that's a really good idea. I'm like, damn.
Oh my God, why don't we think of that? Yeah, I thought it was interesting because it's like, especially within the context of like vampires were rich aristocrats and werewolves were enslaved. For their modern day societies, the vampires are still living in a castle. Granted, they're all living in one castle together. But they're living in a castle, and like Celine has this fancy big room. And then like all the lichens are like in the fucking underground sewers. Really spoke to their positions in the world. Especially, I mean, literally the lichens have like gone underground and hiding, you know what I mean? So it's like maybe they, under different circumstances, if there weren't a war, they could be living in their own fancy castle, but right now they've got to pretend like Lucian's been dead for hundreds of years and blah 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 blah, etc. So they gotta keep their den undercover, but it did really seem like the societal um progress had kind of like been at a standstill with the vampires for a while, and the werewolves were like, we're evolving because we gotta.
Yeah,
We're scrappy.
very scrappy. I don't know. I want Michaela now. I'm thinking about that all the time.
Yeah. I mean, it really could have gone that way, and perhaps even should have gone that way. And I think Erica would have been cool with that. It could still be the three of them.
Also, I would have liked to see maybe like Amelia be like a stronger thing. Know what I mean? Maybe like
yeah,
Amelia
like she just stood there. Like, I mean, maybe she never had a shot. Is I guess kind of the implication because they got her so.
or like Amelia and Celine, because she's been like around, they could have had like a weird thing, which is why, you know, she was never into Craven. It was always kind of like, this is my girl Amelia, and then, you know.
Yeah.
We could have gotten more from Amelia in general, and they took her out real fast.
It wasn't fair. We needed more of her. We
wrong.
need more feminine energy in this film on the whole.
That said, Erica obviously bisexual.
Whoa,
So bisexual.
Wait. Were there any girl werewolves?
Mm-mm.
There weren't any fucking girl werewolves.
That is interesting. Now I guess you could say that there's implications there about why they're not looking for a female Corvin and they're only looking at male descendants. Can only men be werewolves? Or
Fascinating.
it is interesting to me that like the lore of Sonia getting pregnant with Lucian's baby, like vampires seemingly can reproduce.
Yeah, well, they have like normal anatomy, like their heart's beating, their blood's pumping, all that stuff. When they show Victor coming back to life, they show that. So like, it's a different type. It's not Twilight vampires.
For sure.
Thank God.
But it is interesting. It is interesting. I guess we'd have to get into the larger.
I'm mad that there's no girl werewolves. There should be girl werewolves.
Maybe there are in the sequels, and just they aren't here for some reason. I don't know.
We'll have to watch the sequels, I guess.
Well, that's what I'm gonna do tonight. I'll tell you that.
You're gonna watch all 4 of them tonight?
No, I'm just gonna watch Evolution, unless I have to pay for it, and then I'm not gonna watch Evolution.
And then maybe I won't. Yeah.
And I won't be doing that.
Well, maybe maybe Rise of the Lycans will be free, and then you can watch the prequel. And presumably there would be more werewolves in that because the war hasn't started yet.
Need more Lucian. Lucian is a crucial part of the puzzle for me, and as it stands at the end of Underworld, he is dead, so it doesn't bode well for me. Go straight to Rise of the Lycans. You're right. Okay, any other gay thoughts you'd like to share?
So many more gay thoughts, but just for me.
I thought
they're secret. Yeah.
They're secret.
I was like, is Chelsea going to be a part of the bit? Is it going to be a 3-person bit? No, we can have our first 3-person bit.
Okay. Oh, wait. Okay. Start over.
Okay, let's do it. Do you have any more gay thoughts you'd like to share?
So many more gay thoughts.
Shh. Keep that to yourself.
You're being mean to Sydney about it.
Wow.
No, okay. Should we try it one more time? Should we go one more time? Okay. Do it again.
Do you have any more gay thoughts you'd like to share?
So many more gay thoughts.
Shh. They're private.
Crushed it.
That's the one.
And tune in next week to hear that again.
Chelsea, you just like change yours every time. It could be something.
I'll have to. Yeah, I have to ad lib.
You keep that to yourself.
This will be like our nonsense outro or something like that. Oh my god, new line from Chelsea dropping this week.
This makes me excited because we've created all these bits and Chelsea has not participated in any of them. Now you got to say something when we close the episode too. So start thinking now, bitch. You've got 5 minutes.
Oh my god, I do the credits. That's my bit.
Yeah, she does the credits.
I do the whisper intro and I do the credits. So that's my contribution to opening and closing.
We love a live bit. So much beauty can happen. Anyway,
I do lots of bits.
But we need consistency in our lives, Chelsea. We're looking for that.
I
wish that you would be more consistent. I'm kidding.
I don't like to be pinned down.
She's such a free living,
I'm
free loving
spontaneous.
woman.
I'm unpredictable.
I'm always saying that about you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, where would Matthew Lillard fit into this movie? Where would we cast him?
I think he played Marcus.
Who we never see.
We see a little bit of him at the end. He's just mummified still.
Okay. Also, I think he would
He's
play
the star of the sequel.
the doctor who like Celine brings in as proof. That's like here.
Oh.
Like, and who basically like drops all of the lore as to why they're hunting Michael.
Oh, the guy who's
who gets
running
his
the blood
shoulders
experiments.
scrunched.
Yeah.
Yeah. And his blood is waking up Marcus, is that his name?
Yeah.
At the end. I think that Matthew Lillard, this was 2003, youthful, young Matthew Lillard, he's still young now, but even more so then, would have just been the perfect person to be Dr. Adam, which is so funny to me that that's his name, because sometimes I call Adam that. And
Is that Wentworth Miller?
That's Wentworth Miller from Prison Break.
Mm-hmm.
Just swap Maddie in there.
Per IMDb trivia, he filmed his role in this movie in 2 days, and I went, "Yeah, this sounds about right." He's there for 5 seconds.
Fucking in it. Yeah, he's barely in it, and he's just there, and he's a fucking narc.
He's not a narc. He's trying to cover for Michael
at first, but then he turns into the cops like immediately.
Does he?
Yes. Oh, in the sequel, in my version.
Oh,
did that not happen in yours? Yeah, he turns him in.
Unless I missed something, it's like he calls him to be like, "Oh my god, they were looking for you," and then the police come back later and they like push past him at one point.
No, in the version that I watched, he's a fucking narc. He's like, Michael comes to Dr. Adam and he's like, shit's going crazy. My head hurts so bad. I don't know what's going on with me. I need help. And Dr. Adam was like, I'm going to help you. Don't worry. You're going to be fine. And he walks away and he goes into another room and the cops are apparently still there. It doesn't really make sense. And he takes the cops with him towards Michael, and Michael sees them through the window in the door and he's like, fuck. And he like runs away.
Oh, yeah. I don't think that's in the regular version.
Well, that's one.
Adam Innocent.
Part of the 7 minutes, I guess, the extra 7 minutes that I got. But yeah, very, very intriguing. Dr. Adam, bad guy in my version. Big, stinky poop.
I think he and Michael, to go back a segment real quick, I think they've kissed.
I would love to see that. So yeah, I'm down. I'm in.
Yeah. I don't think they had a romance, but I think they've kissed.
They're like, whoa, last night was crazy.
Or it's just like, okay, good night. See you tomorrow.
Just a chaste kiss between coworkers.
Yeah.
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 Any other Maddie placements besides Dr. Adam and Marcus?
He could have been one of the cool vampires at the beginning that we like that never speak, but they're like fighting with Celine in the train stop who like get shot. I think that would be so like a fun little like he's there not doing anything.
Oh no,
right?
Rigel. Rigel's that guy's name. The one who gets shot and then you see him go like
because the light goes through him. Yeah.
I feel like that would have been fun for Matthew to be like.
That's so interesting that you guys say that though, because before you said that I was like, oh, he's got werewolf vibes for sure. But
oh, I'd love to see him as a werewolf. I'd love to see him do one of the transformation scenes. That would be so fun. But he can't replace any of the werewolves that are there because I don't know who any of them are except for Ray's, and Ray's
he's got to be everything. Himself. Yeah,
he's got to be himself.
There were that two movie. Who were fighting, and I think they were the police officers.
Oh, that could be good.
If he's gonna be one of the vampires, he could be Soren. Soren is the one who stands there and watches to make sure Amelia gets slaughtered or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no, he should definitely be Soren. Okay, was this in your guys' movie when Soren has a fucking whip fight with one of the vampires?
Yeah.
That part was sick. That
part was sick, but it was also sick. in terms of being like, stop whipping them. You were whipping the Lucian as a werewolf when you had him like chained up watching his wife die and he was enslaved. And so there's lots of implications here that I think you guys should really reflect on.
Bad news bears.
Not cool, guys.
Oh my God, he like is a stunt performer, that actor who plays Soren, Scott McElroy. And so like I think whips are like part of his thing because just glancing for 1 second, there's this short film called Fallen Angel and he plays Whip Demon. So I think like he's really good at whips. I mean, I already know he's really good at whips because I saw the movie. But that's his thing. Maybe that's part of his thing. Love that for Scott. Okay, I feel like those are some good placements for Maddie. So are we good to move on to Dumb Bitch?
Yeah. Oh, I do see on IMDb there's a picture of him and he's got 2 whips and they're on fire. Oh. So just so you know.
Slay. Got slay.
Okay,
Dumb
Dumb
Bitch. I feel like it's Victor and Craven combo pack. Kiss.
Yeah, I mean, Victor is... I was going to say Victor's a dumb bitch in part for lying to Celine and thinking he could get away with it, but I do think he probably could have gotten away with it if he and Craven hadn't ended up on opposite sides of this conflict.
I think Craven's got to be, because I feel like it's a classic thing, like, oh, they're evil, they're the dumb bitch. No, I feel like Victor had a pretty good plan set in place that lasted for millennia where he was covered. But I feel like Craven is the dumb bitch because he is like a double crosser who double crosses everyone. And then he crisscrossed too many crosses and then it came back and stabbed him in the leg. You know?
Yeah, because it's like, girl, you've got to have some allegiances or nobody's on your side. And like, maybe Soren was his bitch, and it's also very dumb bitch behavior to do, as Victor says, he wants the one thing he can't have, which is Celine. So it's like, move on. Get over it.
Move on. And also like him, he also double crosses Erica because she's down to be like, I don't care that you fucked up all this shit. I love you. Dumb of her. And he's like, bye. And she's like, remember when I took my top off? No, you don't, because you didn't watch the director's cut. I'll find that part for you guys.
Okay,
great.
Cool.
There's no titties. It's just they actually do that like artful thing where it's like this. Like, oh no, where are her titties? The thing is covering it perfectly.
Oh,
you know when they do that, when they have a thing and it like perfectly covers the titties.
Yeah.
That's what they do. But still exciting. Yeah, I think it's gotta be Craven. So hot though. Oh my God. That brand of gentleman, unfortunately, I find to be attractive. Different than Lucian. Different brand. Okay. Similar a little bit, but not actually. Craven's too clean cut. And he wears True Religion jeans, I feel like. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, it's time for Knives Out of Fives. Chelsea.
Okay. Yeah, as you mentioned, this did not get the greatest critical reception when it came out. However, on IMDb, it has a 7.0 out of 10. Pretty good. And then, okay, this is what we were talking about. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has 31% rotten from critics.
Yeah.
So pretty low. However, audiences obviously liked it. It did spawn a whole franchise. But it got 79% fresh from audiences. So that's really completely the other end of the spectrum movie rating wise. And guess what? It was nominated for 2 different Teen Choice Awards in the year 2004.
Kiss.
It was nominated for Choice Movie Thriller, and Kate Beckinsale was nominated for Choice Movie Actress Drama / Action Adventure, as mentioned on Van Helsing episode. This and Van Helsing won nomination for both movies. So
they really were fast and loose with the rules back then. They just did whatever they wanted.
Well, it's the Teen Choice Awards. So
they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, it's not the Oscars.
That's why people love them so much, because they flouted the rules that other award shows held on to.
We're teens and we love rebellion and I already said the word teen, so I was gonna say we smell like teen spirit because of my current aesthetic, but you're gonna have to put it together on your own for that one. But yeah,
Okay.
there were other awards and nominations as well, but like nothing that really stood out. So, but the
No,
Teen
it's
Choice
fine.
Awards, I love to give them a shout.
No, it's very important. Okay, who wants to go first with Underworld?
I'll go. I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5. Like,
That's fair.
it's not good. But there's more of them, so maybe they get better.
So you're leaving room for improvement.
Exactly. Like, I'm open to watching more
Mm-hmm.
because I love Werewolves versus Vampires, obviously.
Yeah.
And
Seasonal depression event, yeah.
exactly. And so I'm like, well, this is bad, but it's not deterring me
Sure.
from.
Well, thank God it didn't ruin Werewolf versus Vampires for you. Can you imagine?
We have to end the
Imagine,
event.
like,
It's
I
over.
hated it so much.
That would have been awful.
I don't want to see another werewolf or vampire for 6 months
Ever
minimum.
again.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, I think that's fair. I'm trying to decide what I want to do for this one.
Do you want me to go before you, or do you want to just talk it out?
No. I'm just that's how I'm starting my thing.
Okay.
I think I'm gonna do like a 3.7. Yeah, that feels good. 7.5. 3.75. It's
Okay.
almost to a 4. Because I had a fucking blast. I had a great fucking time. I love the vibe. They chose a vibe and they're like, this is what we're doing. And they stuck to it. And I love that. They're like,
Yeah.
it's blue and it looks like this. And everyone's walking around all cunty and no one's, they're not talking very much. And I loved that. They were copying that from many other films that I probably love more. But it reminded me of those films that I love so much. And so that's a great thing about it. I really was I was into this 2-word romance. I was very interested. I'm hooked. I'm fucking hooked. It's bare bones, but I'm hooked.
They exchanged backstories. That's all you need.
Exactly. I heard the other backstory, so that's why I'm extra hooked because I heard about how he was sad that his wife died in front of him. So maybe that's why I'm extra engaged, and they shouldn't have taken that out. But no, I just had a really good time. It was just a fun, vibey fucking romp. That's what it was. That's what it is. Not very substantive, but I wasn't really looking for that. So that's what I'm giving it, a 3.75. Love you, Lucian.
Okay, just a quick question for you guys before I get into mine. And not that we really do this that much where we're like ranking movies against each other and that's relevant to the ratings, but did you guys like this movie more or less than Van Helsing?
I like Van Helsing way more.
Okay.
I like Van Helsing has way more shit going on and it's way more exciting. I think that, to be really honest, I've had better times watching Van Helsing than when we all watched it together. Not a knock to you guys. Love you guys so much. But I just like didn't zone
You guys
in
were
so
really
much.
fucking up the vibes and it was
Yeah, like I
affecting the
honestly
experience.
there was something that was really weird and like
Something
I
was
just
in the
kind of like
air.
didn't like you guys that day
I was
and
just
it
like
was
mad.
horrible and I wanted to
Fuck
bring it up
you.
now on the episode
I
a
thought we'd
month
circle
later.
back.
Yeah, I thought I'd circle back. No. But like that wasn't like the best time I've ever had
Sure.
watching it because there was like distractions and stuff and we were excited to hang out with each other. So I wasn't really focusing on it, but it has so much more cool stuff that it's doing and actually original stuff that it's doing. It's not original because it's like the Dark Universe stuff, but like the Frankenstein's Sparkle Head and stuff like that. Like it's not a copy paste kind of scenario. It felt like a more original take for me. But what did you think?
Yeah, because I was kind of like, well, what did I give Van Helsing? And I went back to look and I gave Van Helsing a 3.8. And I was like, did I like Underworld more than Van Helsing? And maybe it's recency bias, but I kind of think maybe I did. But again,
That's
also,
fine.
it was like the way we watched Van Helsing, there was chatter for sure. You know what I mean? Which like
Mm-hmm.
does prevent me from like zoning
You can't
into the
lock
movie.
in. And it's such a silly
Especially,
movie, and this is
yeah.
much more serious, you know? So in
That
tone.
said, the construction of that movie was very interesting, and as we're talking about this one, I mean, like you're saying, there's more in the extended edition, and it seems like there's more lore, obviously, like throughout the rest of the franchise, but it does feel kind of like cobbled together in some ways. Um, but I do appreciate the commitment to the aesthetic.
Yeah.
And I think the aesthetic in general was really fun. Again, a lot of the aesthetic was The Matrix, which like I haven't even seen, but so dominated pop culture enough that I
Ugh,
immediately
you need
was
to
like,
see
that's The
it.
Matrix. This is like if The Matrix had monsters in it and was blue instead of green. But I don't know. It was like fun. It was interesting. I don't think I like connected with Van Helsing enough to say for sure with it
It's
being
okay
a
if we
while
put
back
it higher.
now. So I'm gonna divorce them from each other in terms of rating, even though again they've got so much overlap. But I did like the romance. I do feel like my girl Erica needs to get in there, and fight for her place in this throuple, because she's really. But I feel like there was potential there.
Yeah.
So I think she can squirm her way in, and then I believe in her, and I am rooting for you, Erica. But I don't know. It's not necessarily like my kind of movie, so I don't know how much I'll flirt with like the larger franchise, but it was a fun time. And I thought they were clearly having a blast making it, other than poor Kate Beckinsale eating her cabbage and chicken and getting pneumonia, which IMDb trivia was like that also helped her lose weight to be in the costume. And I was like, no, fuck off.
I don't want to hear about that.
Yeah,
Fuck
but
that.
it was 2003, so maybe that whatever. I'm gonna give this movie like a 3.5, I think.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay.
That's totally fair. Okay, well, we're back. We're back. We had a hiatus. Now we're back. We did Werewolf versus Vampire Seasonal Depression event for the month of December. I'm not even batting an eye anymore. Fuck, it's crazy.
Wow,
I
it's
think
just
I
rolling off the
needed to see
tongue.
Underworld to get here, you know? But guess what, bitches? Next week is fucking Christmas, I think, right? When's this
Yeah,
episode come out?
Christmas Eve.
So part of the deal, there was a deal that was done. There was a
There is a
dirty,
deal that
dirty
was
deal.
struck.
There was a dirty, dirty, nasty deal that was struck back in October when we decided to do the Mary Kate and Ashley classic double double toil and trouble against my will. I got to have free reign for this movie if Chelsea got her way with that, and then I think also Sydney got
She's got
another movie
a
out of the
February
deal
pick. Yeah.
that's coming up in.
Day pick.
Yep, so that's coming up in February, so keep your eyes open for that. But we're doing a classic. It is something that everybody had on their lunchbox if you were even a little bit edgy. All of your childhood. This had Hot Topic in a fucking chokehold. And guess
Oh,
what,
yeah.
bitch?
Still
It
does.
still does. And
I
that's
saw a lot of merch for it at Walgreens this year, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is one of the most ubiquitous movies out there, and that is The Nightmare Before Christmas. 1993. That's when it came out. Gorgeous, gorgeous Danny Elfman property. Oh my God, it's only 1 hour and 16 minutes. We're gonna have a great time.
I love that.
Man, this movie really freaked me out as a kid. I only saw like parts of it, and when I did see it, I was very, very scared. But now I've come to love it because I'm a big girl now. So
Yeah. You guys have tried to get this on the schedule in the past, and I have been resistant to it because I came very late to Nightmare Before Christmas. I only saw it when I was in college, and I was like, okay, fine, let me finally get around to watching this because everybody's fucking obsessed. And then I was like, okay, like I didn't connect to it. I think it just like was too late in the game, and it passed
it's
me
never too
by. And
late.
so I'm hoping that I won't be a bummer next episode, and I'm gonna have a transformative experience watching this movie. But we'll see.
Well,
I did see that around Halloween it was in theaters again, so I'm wondering like
yeah.
if I'm gonna be able to hunt down one of those because maybe on a big screen.
Well, I mean, Chelsea, it's not like it's some revelation, you know what I mean? It's just like really interesting claymation that is done and like an interesting story, but it's for children. It's a PG movie,
Yeah.
so it's not gonna like.
And if you don't think
have
that I'm not going to be singing I Miss You by Blink 182 the entire time.
Dude,
Where
can
are
live
you?
like where I
I'm
am.
so sorry.
We
It's
can
just
live
a-
like Jack and Sally if we want.
yeah, it was like, children's first emotional experience. I don't know. It's an
It's
emotional
like a
film.
kid's toe dip into being alternative a little bit. Know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. So revert yourself back to when you're a young, impressionable youth who hasn't, decided she was going to be a prep. You're
like
kind of a
it.
prep.
This movie,
You
Got
were a
my
prep.
ass.
You were a
this
fucking prep.
movie
Yeah, I read you
makes
some film.
kids venture into Hot Topic for the first time, and it
I was really
changes
into
their
Hot
life.
Topic. I just hadn't seen the movie at that time, so
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for you. At the very least, you can go look at
Don't
how
waste
creepy
your
everything
time
looks.
on me.
I love it.
The voice inside my head. I miss you.
Well,
Miss you.
I know everybody's been wanting us to do this for a long time, so I hope that our listeners are appeased for Christmas time. And so why not say in a 5-star review, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, or Happy Holidays, or Happy Hanukkah, or Happy anything. Happy good job being alive still despite all of the atrocities. I think that would be a great 5-star review for us, don't you think? That would be really nice. Or why not follow us on social media? Tis the season after all at spooky_Tuesday, or on Facebook and Tumblr. We are at Spooky Tuesday Pod. Go to spookytuesdaypod.com to get all of your information about us, including a handy dandy link to our Patreon. Once again, this was a patron selected episode, so you could have your vote heard and change the tides of what we're doing on this podcast once a quarter. So don't go crazy about it.
But you can suggest whenever in our
Yeah.
Discord channel, and we'll take that into consideration.
Guess what was the suggestion? The Nightmare Before Christmas. Just saying, it was. Anyway,
Well, there you go.
There you go. And why not follow us on YouTube? We are looking very slay today. You can see Chelsea and I's raw, unadulterated sexual connection that we're having that goes through time and space and through blocks and blocks of Silver Lake streets.
It's intense. I'm feeling it all the way in Alabama.
I'm
gonna drive over and kiss Monica on the mouth right after.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna
Take
be
a
crazy.
video for me.
It's gonna be insane. But yeah, I'm Celine. Chelsea is beautiful Michael, and Sydney is her beautiful self, looking stunning and spooky.
I'm Erica.
Yeah, I was
She's
gonna say she could've been Erica.
I know you could have been Erica.
We're
Just put your
giving
hair in the little bun.
throuple.
Oh, big throuple energy.
Whoa, crazy.
You can only see that raw sexual chemistry on YouTube, so make sure you do that. And at the end of the day, I have to say thank you so much for listening. Chelsea, did you think of a bit?
Rah!
We'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye, Spookies.
Spooky Tuesday was created by Monica Height, Sydney Thompson, and Chelsea Duff, and edited by Sydney Thompson. Our gorgeously spooky tunes are all thanks to Tamara Simons, who you can follow on Instagram at Great18. That's GR818_. And our podcast art is by Ryan Brom, who you can follow on Instagram at Ryan Brom Art. That's RyanBrommArt. Learn more about Spooky Tuesday at spookytuesdaypod.com and subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/spooky_Tuesday.